gift from TMI Gifts. Hey, Marion. Hey, Gina. Saints. You ladies are saints. Oh, my goodness. I was trying to use my fancy stuff, and sometimes fancy, isn't good when you're not good at it. So, there we go. Hey, hey. Is that Tiffany? Hello, hello. So excited for all of the fun things that TMI Gifts has cooking up. For today, we are working on our latest wreath kit collaboration, and these went fast. I mean, these didn't even make it, I don't even think they made it 12 hours, let alone 24. So if you see a kit that you really like, whether it's from me or Tarnation Creations, Southern Owls, any of those kits that you see, they can go very quickly. So when you see one that you like, know that it's all encompassing. So like even for this, it includes our grapevine, our florals, our greenery. So whether you're a seasoned maker or you're just getting started, it's so nice to have everything just like in one place. It cuts down on all that guesswork. It also cuts down on all that shopping because they do big discounts. They provide free shipping. And with the promo code CAR20, you save 20%. So, I mean, I feel like if you're saving 20%, you should probably buy 20% more. It's girl math, but like it 100% works for me. So, just my 2 cents. Hey, Amber. Nice to see you. My Cassie. My Cassie, I miss you. All right. So, we are going to get started. And so I was really on the fence about if we wanted to do a full or a crescent wreath. I originally designed the kit for a crescent wreath, but then once everything came, there were so many florals. And I'm like, I think we can pull off a full wreath. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And even though crescent wreaths, I mean, I love them. They are like my go-to. A full wreath, like cottagecore, cottage style, whatever you'd like to call it, they bring in a much bigger profit margin. Okay, so it's not necessarily double the materials when you're making something full, because when we're doing a crescent wreath, if we think about it, maybe like this much is empty. So when we're filling it up, it's not like we're using twice the materials. So like there's a big market for full wreaths, and those folks that want those full wreaths, they're not too scared of a price that matches the time it takes for us to design it. It takes a lot of balancing and, creativity and all those good things. So I am just making my loop to hang it on. All right, and I'm just taking a little bow, I'm just tying it on there. Okay, I always like to have a little loop, and that way I know where my North Star is. My customers have like a sense of where they want to hang it, all of those good things. Girl math is, yes, girl math is the only math I think I understand at this point. Girl math is the best. Hey, Connie. Yes, doing a full wreath. We do have some ribbon, so there is going to be a bow, but I will say the bow, it can go like top, bottom, or you could leave it off. So it's going to be one of those things where like feeling cute, might change it later, but that's all good. So we are going to start with, let's see, we have all of these beautiful hydrangeas, okay? And I guess this is why I went from thinking smaller with a crescent wreath to like, boom, we have enough stuff here for a full wreath. Okay, so we have 2 of these pink hydrangea bushes and 1 of these cream colored hydrangea bushes. And let me tell you, there is a lot of bang for your buck. And I think a bunch of these items are sold out. However, if there are items that are still available, I will certainly post them. But TMI Gifts has been stocking up, like up. So getting ready for fall. It'd never be alive if a dog did not go like just off the chain, which Bruno's doing right now. They are gorgeous. So this is my first time working with this product, and I will say I was highly, highly on the fence because they have a few purple variations. And actually, I think I might have ordered them. They're not part of this kit, but I do have an unopened box over there. They have this, it's almost like a psychedelic purple. It's so, so saturated. And I was like, ugh, that's something that when you like drive by that house, someone's going to drive off the road because it's just going to be so like grabbing to look at. And actually, I was driving through, I had to do delivery today, and it was in a really, really nice area. And can I say, a lot of these homes, they had double doors, and they like understood the assignment. Like, they had huge things on their doors, big, big bows, big swags. Like, I mean, we're talking multi-million dollar homes. Because, like, you know, I think about what might be on my door, but what's on my door is not what's on their door, and my door is not their door. So, I thought it was very interesting because there were certain neighborhoods that had like nothing on their doors. Like maybe they had like glass etched doors. And then there were neighborhoods that like, again, understood the assignment. They had the planters, they had the topiaries, they had the big wreaths. So I need to figure out how to get into those neighborhoods more often. Yes, now we are talking, Marian. All right. So as we're working, I am going to be using my glue pot. Okay, so I go with, I don't know if you can see her, but I use the Grace Monroe glue pot from Surebonder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start cutting down these florals. All right, and I think for these, the leaves are going to end up in the way. So I'm just going to move them. By move them, I mean tear them off. But you can take these leaves and you can either save them for another project. You can use them for the back of the wreath. As you know, I like to use moss. A lot of people, though, instead of, you know, going off and spending money on more materials, you certainly can be crafty and take things that you're not necessarily using and repurpose them. Okay, so I am just going to chop this down. And we're going to go ficus free tonight. I don't want to scare anybody. I know what my go-to is, but we are not going there today. We are going in with our florals first, and then we have some very special greenery to accent it, along with their baby's breath. And I will say the baby's breath is, one, better than real baby's breath. And I mean that like, it doesn't look fake. It actually just, I wish real baby's breath was as nice as like this baby's breath. And we have some very airy, I think it's maiden fern and some boxwood, which I keep using the boxwood in these kits because it should be a staple. You know, there's certain greeneries that you just need to know that you can keep purchasing them. You know what you're getting. Sometimes greenery can look so nice online, and then you get it in person and it just looks, ugh. So I will say the boxwood has not disappointed me, which is why this is at least the third kit that I've put it in. I'm not trying to be redundant, but I'm also wanting to make sure that if I pick out things for a kit, that it's going to be high quality. And so their boxwood is fantastic. Okay. All right, so I'm just cutting these up. You know how sometimes things just kind of click for you? Today I was doing basically like, almost like a virtual workshop. There's a lovely, lovely mom who, her son is getting married and they're hosting the rehearsal dinner at their beautiful home. And they wanted to make the centerpieces themselves. So, you know, something from the heart. And so I had created a video kind of thinking like, you know, I don't know if they're crafty or not, but how would I speak to somebody who may not be crafty? Okay, again, I have no concept of it either way, but, you know, when we're teaching, when we're selling things, we need to think about what are the terms that other people use, because the terms that we use, you know, we can do like permanent botanicals, you know, faux florals, all that stuff. But if on Etsy, people are looking up fake flowers, silk flowers, the terms are like, eh. However, if that's what people are searching for, we want to make sure that we're kind of slipping in that, you know, SEO category. And so sometimes, you know, we need to make sure that we're thinking about not how we would describe something, but how someone else would describe something. So that led me to the quadrant for this arrangement. But however, when it comes to, oh dang, I just got myself in a geometrical corner. So this is going to be, it's not a quadrant because we're not doing 4, we're doing 5. So 5, 5, 5. All right, Marion or Amber, help me out super quick. 5, not a sextuplet, centuplet. Why is every other tuplet coming to mind? Okay. I need a, I'm phoning a friend right now. Penta? Okay. Oh, penta. Okay, like a pentagon. Yes. Marion, girl, I knew you had me. Thank you. All right. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be thinking about this in 5 sections, okay? So section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, section 5, like roughly, okay? And what happens is once we place those florals there, we then know them in sections, and we're going to repeat what we're doing in each section. So if you can visualize, like do, you know, what was it, Beautiful Minds, like Matt Damon? You know, once you kind of get to visualize something, it's so much easier to just design without it being stressful, without it being a lot of, you know, back and forth thinking on if you're doing something right or not. So to start off, we are going to go with our cream colored hydrangea first, and it just so happens we got 5. Is that a sign? Yep, probably. Amber, everything about you is beautiful. And hello, your son's birthday. Is he not a cutie patootie? Happy birthday to your son. I love it. I love getting to see like the behind the scenes on you guys. You guys get to see what a hot, literally hot mess I am. You're not hot messes. I am. But I do love learning about things that you guys are doing in your lives. So I thought that was super cute. Very nice. Happy birthday to your son. All right, so we're going to start up top. And if you're not really confident about your placing, and sometimes, like, depending on if it's like a new material, I might need to move it, or I might just decide that I'm going to lay them out first and then glue them. We're feeling wild now, because at this point, I've burned a lot of your time. So we are just going to go in and see if Cara can land this the way it's supposed to be. All right, so we're going to do 1, 2, and the stems are going through, and they're going through the back. We are going to trim them up. Cassie, I mean, I'm no judgment here. I can so relate. I can so relate to feeling like a hot mess. All right, 3. Now, you guys know I have said a lot of things about the Surebonder glue. So as I'm doing this, if I feel like I'm off, I'm going to pull something real quick because their glue does dry so quickly, and it has been very hard to get things out. And actually, even looking at this right now, I feel like it's a little off. Yeah, Surebonder, kudos, because whatever you're doing, it is good. It is very secure, it is solid, and I am loving it. So, I mean, I do use Gorilla Glue sticks in my glue gun. However, I mean, because I trust the brand, you know, we all know Gorilla Glue, it's like the ultimate. But I'm starting to think, like, I don't know, Surebonder's game is very serious with the glue. So I might even end up shifting to their glue sticks. I'm going to keep you all on the edge of your seats as I figure that out. Okay. So this does not need to be perfect. Okay? It just needs to be spaced out. Let's see. Let's look at Cara on the computer. All right. So we have, oh, goodness gracious. It's so hard to look at me backwards. All right. Let's move this a little closer. And move this a little closer. Again, we have a lot of other things that are going to be going in here. So if you don't want to deal with having to pull things out, or you're just not sure, you know, it's okay to, you don't have to glue as you go. Okay, now we're going in with a bunch of these gorgeous pink hydrangeas. So if we're thinking we've got 5 of these in a bush, that means we have 10 in total. So when we're going to be doing a pairing, we're going to take each of the pentas, however you say it, and we're going to be putting these guys together. We're going to be doing groupings. All right, so we're going to start right at the top. And let's see. Funny. Oh my gosh, Amber, somebody, okay. Amber doesn't have a son. Someone in our like group, in our circle, it was their birthday. And I don't even want to start even guessing names because clearly I have already like botched that. Who's Amber? It's somebody's son's birthday. And if you're watching, whether it's now or later, please just bail me out and just acknowledge it because I thought it was a super cute birthday. Amber, thank God you have the patience for me. That's all I can say. Or I think you have the patience for me. I hope you do. Or you just got a really good sense of humor. All right. So we're going in. We're going to start at our top. Okay. Our first penta. I mean, the other one was quadrant. Is it I'm not even gonna go there. All right. So we're gonna have our cream colored hydrangea more towards the middle, and then we're gonna go in with our pink hydrangea. Okay, and I'm going straight through because we're gonna clean up the back at the end. And also, all of these stems are super malleable. So say you have this pointed outward right now, but you want to point it inward. You know, at any point in time, you can make those changes. Amber, I mean, honest to God, thank God for you. Ooh, Tiffany, Connie loves a good wreath kit. And Connie, can I like call you out in a positive way for a minute? Will that be okay? I'm going to wait and get your permission to brag about you, but I'm not going to do it unless you tell me it's okay. So I'm going to give it a minute while I keep working. Oh, I can't wait to see what fall has ahead of us as well, because I have been feeling wild about like the oranges, the purples, all of those things. You can see why I was thinking that this could make a full wreath, because I mean, we're definitely going to fit in the greenery. We want that texture, but there's a lot here. So if there was somebody looking for a minimalistic wreath, they would not be my customer. However, if they were, you could create a wreath out of just these. Okay, Connie gave me the green light to brag. So a few months ago, I don't know how many months ago, Connie was doing mesh wreaths. Connie, at any point, if I misspeak, you just jump right in and you correct me, okay? So Connie had not done a grapevine wreath. And within these last few months, can I tell you, Connie is knocking it out of the park. Like, we've done some wreath kits together. She has sent me photos, and I'm like, this is not a person who has only done a few, like, this is not a newbie to the grapevine wreath, like, making world. She is killing it. So Connie, I applaud you. I think that you have been it's amazing. And I don't know how to make mesh wreaths, so I think like trying a different medium, that alone is like stepping out of your comfort zone. But her placement and the time she takes, you know, like she really spends a good amount of time making sure that the placement is where she wants it, and that it's, you know, very similar to what the model is. But also instinctually, she can also call out like, what about this? What about that? And she's spot on. So all I can say is like, Connie, like, keep going. And also anybody who thinks that, you know, this is something that you can never figure out, or you're so set in your ways doing like one thing versus the other, like, I have seen this crazy transformation. I mean, I'm just like, when I see it, I'm like a proud, like, look what Connie made. It's just beautiful. She redid that. I made like a big full lush purple wreath, and Connie loves the hot pinks and Connie loves the purples. She nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. And I don't think that was like a super easy wreath to make, honestly. Like, I think that there's a lot of components to it. I'm gonna move this a little bit. It was not a simple design to get when you have that much going into it and that much texture and like all of these things that kind of, not that they needed to be the same, but Connie did an amazing job. Amazing. Yes, I would, Connie, absolutely share your work or give me the permission, because she's so good and she's so passionate, and she, you know, really does take into account like different styles of things. Because again, she hadn't worked with grapevine bases, whereas I can say I haven't done like the mesh thing. So for me, that would be I would be very much out of my element. Yep, Connie is like learning at leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. All right, so we have a rough, let's see. All right, all right, Connie, I got bragging rights. Well, they're your bragging rights, but I have permission to share how amazing you are doing after, I don't know how many months. It hasn't been that long, though, I will say that. Okay, so right now we have a pretty full wreath. I know this looks a little clunky. We're good. We've got a lot of things to fill with. Again, we've got very malleable products to move around. And so really it's kind of like, it reminds me of like strawberry and vanilla ice cream almost. All right. So what do we want to start with first? Because we have a lot to choose from. So let's start with our boxwood first. Okay. And I maybe, even for a full wreath, I may have overdone this. So this is their boxwood, and ooh, did I save the sheet? I think it is. These boxwood sprays, before the discount code, they're $3. They're $3, so math. They're $2.40 after you use promo code CARA20. This is as much as a full bush. So you could say like, oh, it's one, you know, spray. But the reality is the amount of greenery on here is well worth the value of something that you're going to get at, you know, like a Hobby Lobby, a Michael's, you know, things that have small stems and not a lot of leaves. Like, this has so much. Okay, so if you saw this at, again, a local craft store and it was $2.40, like, I'd be buying those up like hotcakes. So this is one of my go-to greenery. And again, it's something that I feel like is, so far, it's always been in stock for me when I've needed it. And when you get greenery that you're comfortable with, it's so great to have like those staples on hand. So that, say you're doing multiples and they're doing well and you're selling, and you don't want to worry about, okay, I'm making multiples, but I got this random type of greenery somewhere. I don't know if I can get it again. This is the solution, is to find someone who is consistently going to sell either the exact same product or something of that quality. You know, so say they sold out, you could absolutely contact them and say, yikes, I was looking for your boxwood, it's not there. What's your next best suggestion? And I think between, you know, Lori, who's just the most amazing designer, Tiffany, who is just super, super amazing when it comes to just personalized customer service, those ladies would help you. Any of those ladies there would help you. Oh, and the purple wreath was the first one that you made. Ugh, yes. This is one of those things where it's like when you give, you get way more. And for me, working with Connie on things, like it has just made my heart, like thinking about the Grinch when it's like this big and explodes. I really do like feel so good when I see someone else winning. Connie is so winning. She is doing an amazing job. I know it makes her happy. She stays up so late at night sometimes to do it, which is why I'm assuming it makes you happy, Connie. But like she should be so proud. Like to start like that wreath is not an easy. That's not a beginner's wreath. To me that's a pretty advanced design, and she has mastered it. All right, so I'm gonna go with my boxwood. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna start using this. I know sometimes I do greenery first, but there's just so many hydrangea. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this to kind of separate some of our florals. And Amber knows whenever I'm designing at this angle, I am at a disadvantage. There's probably going to be some rough spots around this corner. I'm going to try and stay ahead of it. All right. Yes. TMI Gifts is so good to designers. Like working with them, helping them. There's certain companies that have that level of customer service that you're just like, this is very, very personal versus, you know, a Walmart. Michael's, for the love of God, you can't even find somebody that works there. Like, I still feel so bad for when my daughter worked there. Like, there is nobody on the floor, let alone a manager. But when you're working with companies like TMI Gifts, that they really do care about you as an individual. It's not wholesale, so you don't need, you know, the business ID and all that stuff. You'll be amazed at what they will do. Because if you think about it, guys, how long ago was it, Tiffany? I feel like I had asked or suggested more florals and greenery, and you guys are just like, we got your boxwood, we got your beaded grass, like nonstop things are coming in. And I think it's because when they get feedback or they just get, you know, a request of what people are looking for, they don't just deliver they deliver like hardcore. I mean, because every time I go on that site, there is something else different that I want, which is why I am excited, because I do think I ordered those purple hydrangea, which Connie, if you have a chance, and I'm not saying this like in a salesy way, if you go to tmigifts.com and look up their purple hydrangea, there's two. There's a light and a dark. And I'm pretty sure I ordered both. One is like lavender and one is like psychedelic, like I've never seen. And I can almost think of like throwing in something teal. And I know that seems a little bit like it could be awful, but I don't think it's going to be. I think it's actually going to be like amazing. And when we're thinking about fall designs, purple absolutely fits in. Sorry, I gotta heat this guy up a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, so Connie's asking about the wreath kit. So this wreath kit is sold out. There might be some elements that are still available. However, I would say, you know, we're going to be doing them for each season. We try and do them monthly-ish. That's because the ish would be the me factor. But if ever also there's a type of kit you'd like to see, or if you're on TMI Gifts website and you see something and you're like, ooh, I really want to build around that, like, let us know. Let me know. Let Tiffany, let Lori know at TMI Gifts, because they are a company that is listening. It's a family-owned business, and you just can, like, see the love. You know, it's like, it's a place that you would want to work. It's a place that I'd love shopping at. Let me just see, because yes, we're going a little wonky in the corner. Try and stay ahead of that. Let's see. Marion, do you remember that one live where we talked about, like, what is it that we want? And I believe even you were like, cherry blossoms. And what do you see? Cherry blossoms. Like, feedback that is taken and very quickly translated into what we're looking for. All right. So, next up is, gosh, there's so many options, guys. Let me see. So this is, I believe, the Wildflower bush. And this can be used just as if you wanted to think about just a greenery filler. It does have these little white, like almost like seeded tips. Okay, so you've got that extra little, that level of texture, color, dimension, all of those good things that make the difference between a manufactured wreath versus something that is handmade and its value is just like shining. All right, so some of these pieces are a bit long, so we can definitely cut them in half, okay, and kind of double up what we have. So whenever we're working with artificial florals, you know, one of the benefits is like we can manipulate it to serve our purpose. I'm sure I've mentioned I did some floral classes, I think last month or the month before, and I broke so many things, so many unforgiving things. But when you're working with artificial florals and wired elements, you can cut them down. You can get so much out of them. So don't think that, oh, just because it came this way, you need to use it that way. Like, absolutely not. Like, you get as much out of it as you can, get the most bang for your buck. You know, creative people, we can be crafty, we can be thrifty, and we can make things work the way that we want them to work. Oh, okay. Amber, hello. Amber just went on the website and she said they're outstanding, right? Can you imagine those paired with the lavender? Because something's going to happen with that. I should have opened the box. And oh my gosh, Catherine, it totally gives me so much joy to do this. I just am like grateful for anyone who waits the 20 minutes for me to figure out my technical issues for this. Because I know I can try people's patience. And Connie, you're too kind. I am a bull. I am a bull in the flower shop. And you know who else is a bull in any area? Bruno, because that dog on a rainy day, I mean, I almost envision like if you had triplets and they were just wild and you had to contain them and entertain them on a rainy day, because I was really losing my patience. Because when he runs through here, I'm like, there's all, like, what you guys, maybe I've shown it before or not, but there's, like, all of these lighting things. There's cameras. There's, like, a lot of equipment that, you know, isn't cheap. And when he's just running through, like, hey, Mom, I'm like, no, please don't. So, yeah. Bruno had a long, or actually Bruno gave me a long day today. I'm not even going to say he had a long day. I'm not sure he was too concerned with it. All right, so we're starting up here, okay, in our first, not quadrant, but our first section. All right, and we're going to start adding in some of our wildflower. It's a bush, it's greenery, and what I like about it is, again, it's got the little seeds. It's got that detail. And the coloring is very, very natural. It's beautiful. So this, I think I've also used a few times. So if you see me using something time and time again, I swear I'm not being lazy. It's just when you have those core products or staples, you know, I just love to use them because I know exactly what I'm getting and I know it's going to fit the bill. The pink baby's breath might be sold out. Hey, Maddie, how are you, my friend? I love seeing your name pop up. How have you been? We are working on a wreath collab with TMI Gifts. The kit is sold out, but we are enjoying designing. And then also there are some other colors on their website. I was talking about the purple ones, which I've ordered, but I'm not working with tonight. I will be. That are just absolutely stunning. All right, so I'm just going through and I'm just kind of peppering this throughout. We want to make sure that, you know, just like if we're making an arrangement for a dining room table, we want to make sure that whenever a guest looks at something, they're kind of seeing a bit of everything, like they're all seeing something similar. So same with this, we want to make sure that every part of this wreath reflects at least some portion of that wreath ingredient or recipe. And this is such an easy greenery to work with. Let me see. So this is $5.95 before the 20% off. So I'm not going to do the math. But that is a very good price considering I think we had about 5 or 6 stems, but then we cut them in half. So at this point we've had a lot of, you know, we've had our bang for our buck with these for sure. Here. I'm trying to kind of, I'm trying to see. Oh, dang. No, it's not this one. It's this one. It's hanging super low. All right. That's why Amber always warns people, like, she'll figure it out. She'll fix it. All right, so let's see what we're gonna work with next. I'm thinking we're gonna go in with our baby's breath and then just top it off with our maiden fern, because the maiden fern is gonna have such a dramatic effect. So let's do the baby's breath first. Okay, and again, I think this is prettier than real baby's breath. Okay, the blooms on it are like so full, and then we have the seeds. And this comes in white, pink, and blue. I'm not exactly sure what's in stock right now. However, I will say that I absolutely adore this product. Again, it's another one that keeps showing up in my kits, not by accident, but because I know consistently I'm going to be super satisfied with how this works as a filler flower. Hey, Cheryl. Let's see. Oh, Maddie, you have the kit. Awesome. Yes, the kit sold out very quick. I want to say this was like one of the records, well, record selling for me, kits with TMI Gifts. So I hope people like it. And when you see a kit that gravitates, you know, that you gravitate towards, definitely go for it. What I like about this kit is that I know we're kind of getting ready to transition into fall. However, there are just some things that are classics. And this to me is a style and a color palette that you can use year round. you know, if somebody has bought a new house, somebody has a baby, someone gets married, there are just certain things that, you know, fit, again, any occasion versus, you know, making or giving, you know, a Halloween wreath. Like, it's great, and that's, especially if that's exactly, you know, what your friends and family love, but it's got a limited kind of display life. Whereas this is something that can go up all year round, every year, and they're gonna love it. Ooh, okay, so Cheryl wants to make Christmas wreaths. So you know, Marion, I am with you. I am not 100% ready to give up, partly because I don't want to pack up everything, but also I just feel like I have like a bunch of ideas that I haven't followed through on yet. So I am going to be shifting to fall probably next week, but I also can see that I might waffle a bit because I'm just not ready. There's so many ideas in this head, and I haven't been able to kind of like carry them out. So, yeah, I feel you on that. But we should also start gearing up for fall because Etsy shoppers, they are planners. They are planners that I will never be. So, you know, actually, I sold a fall wreath this week. It was on sale. So I ran a sale. And someone bought it and said, I can't wait for fall. And I'm like, I actually wouldn't mind fall either. Oh, during process for fall shows. Maddie, you're going to do great. Oh my gosh. That's awesome. Maddie's already working on. So I've, you know, when it comes to, sorry, I'll yap as I'll work as I yap. So yes, when it comes to certain types of shows, you know, it's not like you can just buy a table. There is a jury selection. And so Maddie has applied to 5. She's already been approved for 2. But I'm just going to put it out there. I think you're going to get much more than 2. For sure. Let's see. So that's exciting, Maddie, though. I always think that these in-person events are so much work for a wreath maker versus like if you were selling jewelry. You know, you might have like a table, like a little this, a little that. When you're a wreath maker, you are schlepping some serious like display stuff. You're bringing those, you know, often those grids, the tent, like the tables. There's a lot. It's very hard to display a lot of wreaths. So I give everybody so much credit because it's not just like making the wreaths. It's so hard. Well, I don't want to say so hard like it's discouraging. It's a lot of work, but it can be absolutely worth it when you are in front of the right clientele. So my suggestion whenever it comes to in-person events is just make sure that you have kind of different price points because, and again, it depends on areas. Sometimes it can be a show where people are, you know, ready to open up their wallet and spend $100, $200. But sometimes there are, you know, shows where, you know, maybe either they're looking for something small in the moment, but still an opportunity because you can give them your business card, they can contact you. And also they might not want to carry around something on the larger side. So whether or not there's a sale on the spot, it does not mean that it's not going to lead to sales. Let's see. I had to back up on my comments. Ooh, Maddie's saying very high traffic, 5,000 in attendance. That's amazing. So that's in Wisconsin. All right. And Gina is talking about less of the buying because of the selling factor. Marion is, yep. All right. Yeah. And Gina, I feel you because your work, I'm very, very familiar with your work and your Etsy site. You are very, very talented. This has been an odd year, I think. Summer months are always going to be a little off because people aren't necessarily, they're not online. They're not, sitting on their phones. They might be doing vacations out with their kids, all that stuff. But it is nice to have things that are ready for the following year. So like when it comes to fall, I already have probably a dozen wreaths. And I know in some ways that stings because I'm like, I would love for that money to be back in my pocket. However, in another way, if I'm not ready to start designing, at least I have something there. So it's finding the balance. You don't want to, go and spend more than you're comfortable with because the whole purpose, it's not only to live out our passion, but we want to bring in a little bit of extra income. So you have to do what is comfortable for you. And it's going to be different for everybody, but you never want to put yourself in a position where you feel like you've spent so much that you're putting something in jeopardy. So I would say, right now for me with the whole, tariffs thing, I definitely slowed my shopping down. Also with slower sales. So between the two, I'm like, it's just not a time for me to place a huge, huge order. However, what I'm doing is I'm just being a lot more selective. So I'm still ordering, but I'm definitely narrowing down and sticking more to a budget and a plan. So I think some of that stuff, it just comes with the longer we're doing this, again, when you don't sell something, as much as that might not feel good, it also means that when that season comes around next year, you're already stocked. You're stocked possibly before like other shops are stocked because you have something to carry over. Let's see, Gina did a show last weekend. So Gina went to a great show. She sold 2. But what we always have to consider is what else came from. Hold on, I just have to fix this. This is driving me nuts. What else comes from a show? Because, there's certain things that we can do when we're sitting in a booth. I know for me, if somebody is like on me, I get really uncomfortable. I feel very like pressured, or I just feel like bad. And so it makes me kind of not want to stay and browse. However, if you find that balance of like, hey, I'm here, nice to meet you, let me know if you need anything, and just give them the space to browse. It's not like somebody's going to, most likely. I don't think people going there are going to steal. So it's more just making sure that you're not just, face in a book or face on the phone. That all gives somebody the impression that you're not interested. And of course we're interested. We're just trying to like not make it awkward. Like it's a very delicate dance, I say. It's nice if you have somebody with you in your booth, like say it's a friend, a family member, because then you're kind of like chatting, but also keeping an ear out for anything that they may, be curious about. Madison is doing teacup ornaments with Christmas scenes. Lesser priced, and they draw people in. So definitely need lower price items. I've also heard a lot of good things about just selling ribbons alone. So even though we might think like patriotic stuff is already done, not necessarily, because it can totally transform somebody's planters, somebody's doors, like any of those things. If you have somebody who's trying to keep their entryway fresh but on a budget, the best thing they could do is have, maybe like an evergreen wreath and just keep swapping out the bows. So you've got your Easter, your Valentine's, your patriotic, all that stuff. So I would say if anybody's doing a show that's coming up, I would totally get, the patriotic stuff and then also the fall and Christmas bows, because when people see them and they know it's like, you know, a good opportunity, you're not going to see this in Marshalls, you're not going to have to pay shipping, you know, it's a great opportunity for them to think ahead of like, how can I take this one wreath that I have and keep repurposing it, you know? Some people like a different wreath for every season. Not everybody has that luxury. So we have to kind of accommodate for both. And I think bows are like the best way to do it. So Maddie's saying that she has a lot of people take pictures. So like that's telling. You absolutely want to have your marketing materials ready so that someone can find you after the fact. Okay, I'm going in right now with the maiden hair fern, sorry. And I love this because it's so airy. So even if you don't make a sale on the spot, there is someone in a different group that I'm in, and she may see this, she may not. I will not name names, but she had a show where she didn't sell anything. However, she met somebody who took down her information, or they exchanged information, and this person has now placed multiple orders, also referred her to friends. And so sometimes, you know, it's about the attitude we go in with. If we kind of like feel like it's not going well, and then that translates to people and they get that ick feeling, like, you know. Whereas if we're optimistic and we're enthusiastic, you know, you can gain a customer for life. And that's pretty much what happened with this lovely designer. And she'll be the first to say that her outlook on this has changed a lot for her. Not just because of that one client, but I think in general, just seeing how you can take something that maybe doesn't feel so good, but then see like the good in it. And that's what happened with her. And it is like paying tenfold for her. So I am loving this maiden's hair. And there's also a lot on here. I'll have to let me look at the price on this. Because again, we're talking like so much bang for your buck. Which, no matter what, like I want quality, but I also want to make sure I'm getting like the value for things. So let's see, maiden hair fern, $7.15 before the discount. So after the 20% discount, promo code CAR20, I have to let you know. That is a very good deal. Cannot figure out the math on the spot, but as you can see, we are framing out this entire design with the maiden hair fern, sorry. Keep watching that. And let's see. And with this too, you can always take it and weave it in between. So when we're working with all of these like artificial wired items, the beauty of it is you can move things however you want. So if something is sticking out too far, you can give it a bend. You can move it in between items so it's being secured that way. Like there's so much you can do with it. So let me say, it is, yes, Marion. The baby's breath, yes. Let me see, I missed Cheryl's comment. Let me find it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, it's an awkward thing when you're in the booth and you're selling, because you've probably been on both ends where it's like, you want to support somebody, but then if you feel like you're like, you know, being surveillance, then you kind of want out too. So finding ways to be approachable but not invasive is a skill. Again, you can have a book, you can have a cup of coffee, you can have a friend there. It's a matter of making sure that you take the time to acknowledge that you're there. And if they need anything, just to let you know, but then to casually kind of go back to what you're doing. For me, that's the comfortable balance. And honestly, there's so much maiden fern here that some of this could almost be saved for something else. And this kit was very well priced. I want to say, Tiffany, correct me. I feel like it was definitely under $100. I say definitely, but I think so. But for what you're gonna get when it comes to selling full wreaths, I mean, you can be getting mid-2s, you can get 3s. It all depends on it finding like that right clientele. $560. All right, so let's see. Let me just turn this to you real quick. Doing a little zhuzhin. All right, let's see. 1, 3. I knew I had a pink that was like somewhere out of place. Sure, Bonda, you're doing a great job. All right, so we have, just to show you what I'm doing. So with every cream colored hydrangea, there should be 2 with it. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we're missing. So we're gonna put this in here. One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. All right, that was gonna nag at me because I knew the count was off. I just couldn't figure out where. And also, if something is getting like swallowed up by your greenery, then I would move it. And so for this, okay, because I totally just like was a monster and pulled this apart. All you need to do is, if you should pull the head off of something, what I do is I just take the stem of it, I dip it in a little glue, and then I just put it right back into place and I hold it. Okay, and just give that a second to dry and it's gonna be fine. I always find that like greenery is a little bit harder to like reassemble. It's not that it can't be done. It's just a little bit more challenging than just like one piece. But it had to be done. She was out of place. The beauty of working with artificial florals is that we don't have to fear breaking, ruining, any of those things. All right, so let's see. Let's turn this back. And we have one more piece. There's like a delay, so I'm just... Bend it this way. If anybody's from New England and you know about our former mayor, no disrespect, well, in Massachusetts, but Mayor Menino, they used to call him Mumble Meninos because he was a mumbler. But so am I. So sometimes I am very mayoral when I start to mumble. Usually it's when I'm thinking, I'm processing something. Okay. So we have all of our materials. We took what could be a crescent wreath, we made it full, and we still have our burlap bow. So what I was thinking for the bow is that it could go a bunch of different ways, okay? One, you could leave it off altogether and use it for a separate project. But I was thinking it would look nice at the top here. And then I want it to be I want it to be big. I'm kind of in a bigger is better. Well, or my usual state of like wanting to make like this big statement on a door. And even though I know burlap is not like the flashiest thing, it is very well structured. It's a classic. It goes with everything. And again, it doesn't need to necessarily be, you know, super bright and flashy to have that wow factor. So we're going to use the Easy Bow Maker. You might be, all right, you might be a little bit out of view for this. So trying to see if there's a way to make this so you guys can see it. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a long tail, and it's going to be maybe, let's say it's going to be about a foot. Okay, so I'm going to feed it through the dowel. Okay, good. You guys can see it. And once you put it through the dowel, you want to give it a nice crisp twist. So now the front part of our ribbon is facing down. We are going to measure, I'm going to do 5 inches. Okay, and when I get to the 5-inch mark, I'm just going to kind of like pat that down just to make sure that I have the measurement correct. And I'm going to put it back through the dowels, and then on the opposite side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure 5 inches. And every time I put it through the dowels, I'm going to twist it. Okay, so again, the front side is facing down. Measure 5 inches. Do a nice twist. I'm going through the center, feed it back through the dowels. And so I do want a couple tails on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have our tails evened out. So the second tail, I'm going to make it about 12 inches. We can kind of even that up as we go. And I'm going to start a new tail. So when you're starting a new tail, you go back through the dowels, facing, for me, it's the right side. Okay. And I'm going to make some smaller loops. So we are going to do a set of 4-inch loops. And even our burlap, even though like it's, I mean, each side is like pretty much similar, you can kind of tell by the seams that something is the front or the back. So we're going to go 4 inches once on that side. We're going to measure 4 inches on this side. And let's repeat and do another set of 4-inch loops. Hey Andrea, how are you? Nice to see your name pop up, my dear. All right, so we're gonna make 4 of the 4-inch loops. All right, and then I'm gonna just leave this to be another tail, so it's gonna go down about 12 inches. And then we're just gonna make a button. So the button is like that like middle juicy piece. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the same way. We're gonna have our tail going down on the right side. And then the button, I don't really measure. It's probably about like 3 inches or so. And both sides of that tail are going to go down the same direction, which is okay. The burlap ribbon does get thick, I do agree. So when you're putting it through, it is really helpful to just kind of like keep pushing it. I mean, it's still super thick compared to other like fabrics, but at least it's going to make it a little bit easier. So before I take this off of the dowels, I'm going to just spread out the loops. All right, because we kind of want like every different size showing. And I just feel like the loops are a bit more malleable when, like before we take them off. So, okay, this is where they're at right now. I'm going to take a zip tie, and as I'm taking this off the dowel, I say a little prayer. But really what I'm doing is I'm taking my thumb and my pointer finger, and I'm just pulling this up. And I have a zip tie ready, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it go right over the indentation so that I know that I have it right at the halfway mark. Let's see. And you can use chenille stems, you can use floral wire. I like the zip ties because I feel like it's a little bit easier to manage because you're kind of put on the spot to like make sure you secure everything. All right, so before I fluff these loops, let me see, do I have some chenille stems? All right, I don't, but I have floral wire and a floral pick, which will work as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip the tail of this zip tie. Then I'm going to take floral wire. Ideally, I would use a chenille stem. I just don't have any on my little like side card here. So I'm going to put it right over where that zip tie was. Okay, and I'm going to just twist this off on the back. And then I'm going to take a floral pick, which this is a 6-inch, and I'm going to wrap this around. So starting right at the top of my floral pick, okay, I'm just going to go around until all the wire is used, and this is nice and secure. All right, and now I'm going to fluff. So when you're fluffing, you're just basically going through each of the loops. You're just using your fingers just to spread that fabric out as much as you can. And this is why we use wired ribbon, is because you can kind of like, even if it gets smushed, all you need to do is just like go through and give it like a good fluff. And for me, when I'm shipping my wreaths, if they have a bow on it, I like to put a little bit of tissue paper in each, because that way, one, it arrives to your customer's house the way that they're expecting it to, but also it's like a nice way of, you know, demonstrating how it can be stored when it's not being used, like when it's off season. All right. So here we go. Here is our bow. And now we're going to finish off the tails. So there's a few different ways you can style the tails. You can either cut just something diagonal, okay? I like to dovetail. So for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, and I'm going to just cut up towards the fold. And what it does is it just cuts out that like nice little triangle. It's a nice little polish. Great for, you know, gifts. I think anything that you're, you know, if you're doing something for your mailbox, your lantern, any of those things. So cutting that little piece out. And if you should cut it and it looks like the opposite, like you somehow have a triangle like going down, it just means you did it the opposite way. So just flip it around, not a big deal. And if you're new to dovetailing, you might want to just try doing it, you know, on like a longer piece, just to make sure that you know the direction before you start cutting too much into your ribbon. All right. So I think for this wreath, you could either put it up here, which is kind of my end game, but you could also put it down below. I'm going to say up here, I left it a little bit thinner because I was planning on putting it up here. So for that, what I'm going to do is I am going to just get a little bit of glue on this and put it in. Okay, but there are so many different ways to spin this. You could either do no bow, you could do a bow down here. You know, it's really like, there's no wrong answer. It's just whatever you feel creatively makes sense. And for me, even though I know this covers like some of the wreath, it's just the vision that I had for it. So I'm going to just fluff up my loops and have these tails hanging down in the middle. And it's kind of fun to mix things up anyways. As much as like, you know, there's muscle memory and all that stuff, sometimes it's fun to just do something that's a little bit out of the box for you. All right. Oh, and Marion did such a great video. Marion, I need to know how you do those little like squiggly, I know it's not for this bow, but when you do like multiples. Marion from Garden Charm Boutique is fantastic with her bows. So tell her to get more videos going up and on YouTube and on Facebook because she is quite talented. But she also has some really, really creative ways of making bows with like multiple textures. And I've been digging it. Digging it and waiting for more, Marion. Okay. All right. So here we go. I know whenever I'm done, I do a little zhuzhing after because I'm, you know, a little bit of a disadvantage here angle-wise. But in general, I will say this kit, you could definitely make a crescent wreath. You could definitely make something, maybe even 2 crescent wreaths. You can do a full wreath. You could do a wreath without a bow, with a bow. But these materials were all spot on. Okay, so again, we have our boxwood that after promo code CAR20, which saves 20%, I think it was $2.40 a piece, which was a great value. We used the maiden hair fern. Hold on. I'm saying that out of order. Maiden hair fern. Okay, so we got a ton of that. We cut that up. And then we have the baby's breath, which is even prettier than real baby's breath. I love it. And then these hydrangea bushes. So I do have, again, I'm pretty sure, I have to check. I haven't opened it yet, but I do think I did get some of the purple. The purple are like just super vibrant. And then there's also a more like lavender color, and they're going to pair together beautifully. So more to come on that. All right. But for tonight, I want to say thank you guys so much for joining me. Thank you for your patience around my technology skills or lack thereof. I'm so glad that you guys like it. And yes, the quality is really, really great. So again, if ever there's something that you guys are looking for and you're not finding it, you can either let me know, you can reach out to TMI Gifts. I can give you Tiffany's email address, her home address, her home phone number. Just kidding, Tiffany. No, I can't get you in contact with Tiffany via email. She is always super, super responsive. And, you know, they're really a company that wants to see designers, you know, succeed. And if we have things that we're not finding in other like stores, other places, they really want to help us, you know, get exactly what we need for our vision because we're creative. And when you're creative, you sometimes have something like super, super specific in mind. So yes. So